Hello everyone, hope you all had a good lunch. My name is Brian Beck, I'm your host for the Business Track section. We're about to continue our track here. We're going to be talking about omni-channel commerce, so it's about your customer, not about the channel. And so today joining me up here is James Horn, who's Managing Director at Balance Internet, here all the way from Aussie Land. And we have Catherine Brody with C Wonder, which is an emerging retailer on Magento. She's the e-commerce manager there. And Bernadine Wu, who is CEO of Fit for Commerce. So with that, I will leave it to Bernadine to coordinate.
Thanks. We're actually going to have the speakers introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their companies before we get started. So, Catherine?
Hi. First, I'd like to thank Bernadine and Jen for all your help organizing this presentation. Really appreciate it. So I'm Catherine. I've been at C Wonder for about 6 months, and before that I was managing the website at Kate Spade. C Wonder is a startup by entrepreneur Chris Birch, who might be better recognized as co-founder of Tory Burch and ex-husband of Tory Burch. When you walk into a retail store, a C Wonder store, there's a DJ spinning Motown. A dancing store associate comes up to you and offers you a lemonade. As you walk through the different themed rooms, you see lots of brightly colored product at amazing prices. You gather everything that you want and step into the dressing room. There's a fluffy bench for your boyfriend to sit down and relax while you take yourself into the dressing room.
That's got to be key.
It's the first shopping experience he's ever liked.
I'd be up with the DJ.
Something for everyone.
Says the man who's wearing an all polyester suit with matching pants.
You walk into the dressing room and you select your music and your lighting on a touchpad screen. I like my lighting really dim when I try on things. You step out of the dressing room and a store associate asks if you'd like anything monogrammed, and then she's able to check you out right from the dressing room. She swipes your card on your iPod Touch and emails you your receipt. You walk out of the store with your brightly colored shopping bags, feeling rewarded by your experience and the great deal you just got. The average price point of the product is $39. And the assortment includes everything a woman could want. It ranges from home items, clothes, accessories, apparel. That's a couple of clothes, but there's a lot of it. Shoes, jewelry, electronics, everything. There's even a bike that's $250 and lots of brightly colored colors. The brand caters to one customer, women. It was built for her with all of the products she could possibly want. Chris has a love for all things technology, and because of that, the retail concept is quite revolutionary. The POS is entirely mobile. Each store associate has an iPod Touch and can check you out from any place in the store, and then email you your receipt. And by having an entirely mobile POS, the software directly integrates with our ERP system, which allows for real-time customer information and access to cross-channel data. The brand also uses RFID technology to track items wirelessly. This eases inventory tracking through channels and sets the stage for mobile integration. Also, as you can see here, we have smart cars wrapped in our C Wonder whimsy that can take a shopper with all of her shopping bags home. But we did realize you have to have a driver that's a little bit smaller to make sure she could fit in.
The smaller the driver, the more shopping, right?
Right. Those cars are a little tight, but it takes her home. The use of technology in the store environment is true to the core brand values. Your shopping experience should be easy, personal, warm, luxurious, rewarding, happy, and indulgent.
Thanks, Catherine. And Catherine's fun fact is that she plays pitch and putt every weekend. And I think it's probably a little bit off.
Yeah, I'm really behind. We've been launching websites, so
and probably
I'm out there.
The most recent Magento launch probably goes to Catherine because she launched on Friday. You're right.
very proud Magento partner. We've been part of the Magento and now eBay family since around mid-2009, when we were one of the first partners in Australia to join the group. Since then, we've had a fantastic journey, really, really special times. Magento is a great company, and now they're involved with eBay, it's getting even better. I started out in e-commerce in mid-90s, selling music online, and then Napster came along and smashed me out of the park. Nothing beats free, so there was no business model left for me. But at that point in time, I then morphed that business into a wine business, which is still running today, called cleanskins.com. So anyone from Australia, if you're looking to buy some wine, cleanskins.com. So I started out as a retailer, and then Balance Internet formed out off the back of that. So
interesting. So you've been on both sides.
Yeah, and I've got 3 fantastic young boys, Charlie, Toby, and Nicholas, and they're nicknamed the Hornado. So, all right, that's me.
Terrific. So, how many of you are either planning on or sorry, I'll introduce myself first probably, although I see many familiar faces, so I saw you earlier today in the session. I'm Bernadine Wu, I'm the CEO and founder of Fit for Commerce. Earlier this morning I said, well, many of you may know me as the woman who spoke through the fire alarm at last year's session, at last year's conference. Well, this morning, we spoke through darkness because the lights went out for a good portion of our presentation. So who knows what we'll bring here? Maybe a tidal wave, maybe locusts, who knows?
Please don't.
So Fit for Commerce is an e-commerce consultancy, pure advisory. Our team is sort of a virtual set of skills and a team of people who've sat in your shoes, former merchants, marketers, technologists, providers. And what we do is work with multi-channel retailers around strategy, technology, usability, and as well as hiring. So what we've pulled together here is a session about Omni-Channel. But first I'm going to ask all of you, how many of you are either working on or planning for or even worried about multi-cross Omni-Channel? Okay, so I guess that's why you're here, and it looks like about 80% of you. So first, let's talk about some definitions, because I've been asking, well, what's the difference between these different terms now, and now we're hearing, every new consultant or analyst has to come up with a new term, right? So let me posit just a couple of different definitions here. So multi-channel in my mind is having multiple channels. So many of you maybe have brick and mortar stores, and I'm sure all of you have a website. Many of you may have a catalog. Now mobile, you have to think about it like a channel. Social, you've got to think about it like a channel. And some of you may even be manufacturers or wholesalers or distributors. So now you've got to think about all the different people that you're touching, and you may be touching other businesses through a B2B operation, and you may also be touching consumers in multiple channels. So you may have a mobile B2B channel and a B2C mobile channel. I think it's pretty well known now that the multi-channel shopper is one that we want to target, and that it's a 3 times spend of a single channel shopper. Now, of course, this may vary. It depends on your retail footprint. It depends on the catalog drops that you're doing. But if you're touching her in many different channels, then more than likely you have a higher engagement rate, higher brand loyalty, and hopefully more spend. Now, cross-channel, I think about cross-channel as the crossing of channels. So he or she may start in one channel with that engagement or that transaction and actually complete that in another channel. So she may buy online and pick up in store, or even reserve online and pick up in store, or it may even just be checking out your store locator, which is probably the #1 most important feature to have, on your site, especially on your mobile front. So it can go from what I just talked about, web to store, to also store to web. She's in the store, she can't find the dress in that size, or the lamp in that particular shade, and so how are you going to save the sale? So many retailers are implementing what some of them call save the sale, some of them call it endless aisle, but it's different ways that either the shopper can either help themselves at a kiosk, or a store associate can help her order it and either pick it up in the store or get it shipped to her house. Maybe it's even free shipping. So you see all these different arrows, right, going different different ways. And probably I've only captured, you know, a quarter of the different ways that she can cross the channel. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later. And I think what we're also finding is that cross-channel shopping can capture incremental sales. So that saved sale that you just made probably would not have been booked before. So one of the questions that we want to ask ourselves is how much more incremental sales can we really capture from paying attention to cross-channel? Lastly, Omni-Channel. Omni-Channel actually, I think, is in her eyes. So she may not be thinking about, oh, this brand has multiple channels. Or, I started off in one channel and I'm transacting in the other channel. What does she see? She sees the brand. And so, Catherine, I'm going to hand it over to you, who I think these guys are doing some terrific stuff that she's already mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, I think as we know, the ways customers shop are continually changing and evolving, and the challenge is to support her however or wherever she wants to shop. The customer does not think of your website or your Facebook page or Google as interacting with a channel or a touch point. She thinks of it as the brand and her mission, whether it to be find a store or a particular product. The challenge is to produce online content and experiences that are consistent, engaging, and that emulate the retail experience. So now I'm going to shamelessly promote our newly launched website.
Go for it.
It's very new. So I started in C Wonder a few months ago, back in October, and it was a bit of a rescue mission from the start. We came in and we had a developer that, you know, didn't know the platform very well, definitely wasn't Magento developer certified. So we picked up the site and we handed the code to Lions to help us get up as soon as possible. So we launched the site in about 3 weeks and really saved holiday. And once the site got up, we had made a lot of compromises. So the site didn't look and feel and function like we had hoped. So we turned around and relaunched another site. We launched on Friday on the enterprise platform. Excuse the circles under my eyes. It's been a bit
While preparing this presentation too.
Yeah, while preparing the presentation, a little last minute. Will be time for a drink after this. With the site launch, we feel that we truly have a site now that embodies the brand values and acts as a platform to integrate all customer touch points. It is always important to have a site that is the face of your brand. As a startup with few stores, I think it is even more important since the website will be the first interaction with your brand for many customers. The best compliment I got last week when we launched our site was from one of our assistants who's been at the brand longer than most. She said, I feel like we have a real brand now. I think the new CWonder.com introduces and reinforces brand values and mimics the in-store experience. One feature that we're particularly fond of is the Daily Wonder dropdown. This is a tab that lives on the top of every page, and when you click it, content scrolls down. This content will be brand focused, so it will be quotes or definitions or store images or anything to help drive home our brand values. And the best thing about it is that we update the content every day, so it gives her a reason to keep coming back.
So that's the image on the upper right of the slide there, which is a drop down.
And the other one that, says, we love your sunny disposition. It's warm and it's giving the customer a feeling. The new site is a hub for channel convergence. The content slots on the grid page tout every channel. There are social calls to join us on Facebook and Pinterest and Twitter. There are content slots to support the stores, new openings, store events, anything that we might want to talk about. All of these content slots are a great way to communicate the feeling of surprise and wonder throughout the site while not interrupting the shopping path. As you can see, the Pinterest and the store asset are animated GIFs. Surprise and reward are a big part of the store environment, and we have integrated those values throughout the site. The swatches on the product pages are mixed between hex values and actual images. So the product page is very custom, and surprising and beautiful. My coordinator spent a lot of time in Photoshop tailoring each of these swatches, and it might be my favorite part of the site. We also surprise the customer behind the scenes. Our shipments mimic the beautiful packaging that can be seen in store. We'll randomly drop gifts into packages just because she deserves it. We'll follow up with customers randomly and send them and ask them about their experience and send them a promo code for free shipping, just because. The shopping experience on the site is also closer to the retail environment. The new site allows us to curate the online experience. The landing pages give each category an identity, like each room in the store has an identity. It's also a visual representation of the breadth of the assortment. I love it when people see this page and say, oh, I didn't know you sold dog items. The mega menu, as we call it, on the left side allows us to merchandise product in various ways. We can heart and merchandise things that we love and feel strongly about as a brand, and are also to highlight things like our monogrammed items, which are a customer favorite. The new site is geared to try to emulate the store experience, but still keeps ease of shopping as the top priority. The C in C Wonder stands for many things: chic, colorful, confident, but most importantly, it stands for the customer. The customer is at the heart of everything the brand C Wonder is about, and we've tried to keep her in mind in everything we do on the site. We've integrated Quick Shop and filters to shop by size and color and even the initial that you're looking for. We sped up the site a lot, which is always great for the customer. We've streamlined checkout to make it more informative and an easier experience. Our amazing return policy is displayed in the cart and throughout the site to help ease the decision-making process. We added a promo code box to the payment page just in case you missed it in the shopping cart. We added a clear subtotal tally to the right side of the carts to make the experience as transparent as possible. And even a couple of days in, you're seeing the impact on conversion. So, now that we have a site that does a better job portraying the brand, we are able to look forward and continue to build new features and functionality to give the customer a more cohesive experience. We'll be rolling out monogramming online. We'll be launching a cross-channel loyalty program in the upcoming year and a half, a store associate system that incentivizes and rewards associates, and we'll be launching mobile apps that utilize store technology. So stay tuned and sign up for the cwonder.com email list.
All right, I want to talk briefly about touch points. So Omni-Channel is about multiple channels. So I'm going to tell you a story. I'll tell you a story about my wife, Melissa, and I buying a bed. I probably need one right now because I'm a bit jet lagged. But Sealy Posturepedics is the name of a brand of bed in Australia. So I'll tell you a story about how that might occur. And every time I name a channel, I'll put a finger up. So I start off, my wife says to me, well, why don't you go and have a look on Pinterest? I've loaded up a photo on Pinterest of the bed I'm interested in. So then I go to Google and I search for Sealy Posturepedic on Google. I then from Google go to the website. I then go and from the website look at a product review site, so a syndicated product review site. I then go back to the site, look at a customer testimonial, so I'm up to 5. I then look at a YouTube video, I'm up to 6. And of the bed and how and its features. I then actually look at go onto Flickr and have a look at a lifestyle gallery about how that bed looks within different bedrooms, etc. 7. I then go back to the site and I download a promo voucher or a coupon code. I then go and create a mobile shopping list. So I know what I need to buy. Then I SMS myself from the site an address of where the store is, and I go to the store the next day. When I walk into the store, the customer attendant, the sales attendant, I keep cutting in and out, sorry about that. The sales attendant then shows me on the iPad a demo of the bed, of how it actually, it's an allergy bed, or it's, I think there's minimises partner disturbance, I believe. So I see that video, how that works.
After all that, you're not sure?
Yeah, after all that, I'm not sure. Haven't bought the bed yet. I then just about to walk out, and I want to save the sale. I said, look, I've got to show my wife to make sure that this is the right purchase. So they signed me up to the loyalty program. So I'm up to about 10, I think. So that's 10, loyalty program. Then I actually sign up to the EDM, that's 11. I then go home and buy my credit card, so that's 12. So you can see just in that one experience that there's a whole bunch of channels. They're not just sales channels, but they're device channels as well.
I think it's a great example. It's probably not so normal for someone to go through that many touch points, but you sound like a careful shopper.
I exaggerate.
But by all means, I think when we shop, right, and our customers shop, they are touching us in multiple points. Again, from their perspective, it's one brand, it's one experience. From your perspective, you want to be there with the best experience when they come to touch your brand. So that cycle of engagement that can go on can happen at any point. He or she can come in and experience your product, your brand at any point. And of course the trick is, how do I get her really engaged so that she buys or he buys, regardless of where they come in. So whether they are starting off with search or with social or promotions or they're in a retail store and you've just tried to save a sale or endless aisle, the goal is how do we get her into this sort of virtuous circle so that her engagement is, and it doesn't necessarily mean for one purchase. James's example was about one sort of hunt, one product that he was looking for. But think about her in the life cycle of your brand over a year, or over many years, or over a couple of months, or even throughout her life. How does she go from different stages of her life? So it'll vary, but think about where are your customers coming in, and how do I get them to engage in the next or another part of the cycle? Because if you can get that cycle of engagement, then you can also get that cycle of spend, and that's how you get to the 3 times the single channel shopper. And hopefully next year we'll be sitting here and we'll be talking about 6 times spend, 9 times spend. Okay? So that cycle of spend, I want to do a little bit of math here because just to make a point here. And I think also next year, could we all commit to be sitting here and have $1 billion of sales each too? Yeah, okay. Someone's in for it. So in this cycle of spend, and so I use big numbers here just to make a point. You've got your, let's just say you have your store sales. Okay, it could be catalog, but you have your store sales of $1 billion, and you've got your web sales of $100 million. So 10% of your store sales is web sales. You start thinking about this cross-channel activity, right? And to your left is the arrows going from web to store. So let's just say you could get 10% web to store. That's $100 million. So again, you can minus some zeros and some decimal points, but that's a meaningful amount of money. That's a meaningful percentage. So whether you're at 2%, 5%, and your goal is to get to 20%, that could be a really significant amount of money. Now I can tell everybody's doing the math in their heads right now, right? Now how about store to web? And if any, and I know that there are a lot of catalogers in the room, you've already done catalog to web. So if your store to web is, let's say, 30%, it's going to be a smaller number, but adds up to $30 million. Again, meaningful numbers, right? So this isn't just about small incremental sales. This is a new channel in and of itself. It's the crossing of channels.
It's also about saving the channel, saving the sale too. It's instead of them walking out of the store, you actually push them back to the web on the way out.
Right. Or when you push them into the store, we all know when she's in the store, it's more than likely her AOV is going to be higher, right? That's a pretty well-known fact. So do the math. It could be a very significant opportunity, and it could be something that's worth prioritizing. So one of the pieces of this then I think becomes, how do you get to that? What is the governance? What is the leadership that's involved in doing this? And so what I would argue is that it needs a leader. That you probably have someone who's now responsible for e-commerce. Remember the days when you didn't even, e-commerce was under marketing or was under some other division and it was sort of this orphan. Okay, we're past that now, right? But now, do you have somebody who's responsible for cross-channel or for multi-channel or for Omni-Channel who comes in every day and is thinking about that? Not just web or just store or just these different pieces. Because if you don't have a leader, then maybe it's harder to get to those goals. So whether that person sits in some other, has to report to another executive, kind of doesn't matter. But is that person dedicated to building those sales that are cross-channel? Who owns that arrow, that green arrow in the middle? And when you think about single view of the customer, right, that's the holy grail right now. Who owns single view of the customer? And who's thinking about that every day? Where's the data coming from? In today's earlier session, we talked about personalization and data and what do you do with it? Who's going to pull that content together and really analyze it from that single view of the customer? So in a way, you can kind of, there's a little bit of argument over who owns single view of the customer. This person does, because it's about the crossing of channels. So then the question becomes, can you leapfrog from where you are today to, skip a generation or skip 5? Catherine has an awesome opportunity to go from nothing, a new brand and a new store, to build everything. And listen, not a lot of people have that luxury to start from scratch and really build it, the way that you guys envisioned it in 6 months too. But there are a lot of examples of this where you can learn from the mistakes of others and you can skip a generation or two. James, you may even have.
Yeah, well, in Australia, the retailers took on e-commerce a little bit late, and there's been a real rush. So a lot of our clients are jumping from first to fifth straight away. So they're skipping the 3 middle channels in one go. So that's a pretty big change, not only in the way they're doing business, but also in the way that they're structured their business as well.
Except it's all kangarooing. This tough crowd.
Okay, that's like going from Betamax to VHS to DVD. Although this crowd's probably too young for that.
So I'll talk a little bit about the e-commerce ecosystem, because you've obviously got to build something to do this. So with Magento Enterprise at the core, and I say Magento Enterprise and Magento Mobile at the core of your solution, you actually need to build a system. It's an actual piece of infrastructure within the business. And you need to look at all of the channels and plan out with a roadmap. And often those roadmaps are 18 months to 3 years when you're going to bring the channels in. Because when you actually make a major organisational change, particularly if you're leapfrogging 4 or 5 steps, you've actually got to plan for the organisational effect within your business as a retailer. And that can be quite significant. So you look at customer-facing channels, which I gave you some examples before with that betting example. You look at customised applications and extensions to deliver your unique selling proposition. So these are things that are specific to your business and your customers that make you unique. And Brody gave a few of those before. Did you say your nickname was Broads or Brody? Either? Okay, I like Broads better. Broads is good. We'll work with Broads. Seamless eBay mobile device integration via XCOM and Magento. And I think now's the time I announce why I'm actually wearing this suit. It's a genuine Porcelli Italian suit from the 70s, which I bought on eBay for $50. Because I figured if we're going to be talking about the fabric, then I should probably wear some fabric. So
we'll check on you later to see if you have any rashes.
All right. And then client system integration. So if you could go to the next slide, the diagram. This diagram is a diagram we use with our clients when we're doing the workshops to basically get their architecture up and running and work out what their systems are going to look like and build their roadmap. And you can see on it that there's a whole array of channels all the way around Magento. So at the top of the slide, you've got all the customer-facing channels. You've got your social, your search, your flash channels. Bros, which of those are you using?
A lot of them. I mean, we're in a lot of social channels and search, and we'll be, branching out to affiliate networks and a lot of things coming up.
Yeah, so that's all the customer-facing stuff. You've then got the custom apps, so it might be a product finder, a store locator, advanced search, user-generated content. Down the bottom, you've got all the systems, the internal systems, so the ERPs, the point of sales, logistics, freight systems, finance systems, etc. And you've obviously got to map all of those integrations out, and they are quite significant and quite time-consuming, so you're best to edge those in piece by piece. And then you've obviously got your mobile applications and templates. And then, of course, you've got eBay as well. So I'll just talk a little bit now about eBay.
And, the operational to-do of this is not insignificant. because you're talking about things like real-time inventory and store lookups, and so it could be quite big.
There's a major element of organisational change that goes on with all this, and a lot of the work we do is not as a web developer, it's as an organisational change consultant to help them through the journey of going full omni-channel. So I'll talk a little bit about eBay. eBay is no longer an option, I don't think, for retailers, it's a no-brainer. So when we build Magento sites for retailers, we pretty much say eBay's a must. Why? Because if you're not going to use it now as a channel, there could be a point in time. So you need to future-proof your solution. How did you use eBay? Complementary channel. You might want to move into a new market. So how many of you are retailers in the room? Could you put your hands up? Okay. Any of you interested in moving into the Australian market? Yeah? Okay, a few of you. Okay, well eBay may be your way in. Right? eBay may be your way in. If you're a fashion retailer, you might get on the fashion channel at eBay in Australia and launch into Australia with eBay first. So I see the eBay boys smiling at me. But look, it's an easy way to get into the market. So there's an option for you right there. You can clear dusty stock, you can clear write-downs. And it's a great clearance channel for you. And it's also got obviously flash channel elements as well. You can price differentiate, so you can create bundled products, new products, configurable products within the Magento system. You can integrate with point-of-sale ERP. We recently did a rollout where a major retailer integrated SAP into Magento into eBay, and they didn't even use eBay. They didn't even use Magento from their website, but they just used it as an order management system. So you can actually use it. Magento is actually a piece of middleware. You can set up eBay in a bunch of different ways. So you go new store, it could be a store view, it could be a new website, or it could just be a category page. So there's a bunch of different ways you can configure it. You obviously with X.com and prior to that N2E, the integration is relatively simple, provided you've got a development partner that has got Magento certified, and you can obviously, as I said, integrate point of sale and ERP. So eBay's a no-brainer. Mobile and tablet templates. We have seen a massive rise in our retailers of the amount of people viewing sites through mobile devices. I don't know, I'm sure any of the retailers would have seen this massive spike. So 2 years ago, it was 8% of views on mobile devices. It's now 25%. And someone's saying it's going to be 35, 40. Bernadine, what's your position on that? What would you, if you were to guess?
I think it's going to 50 plus. It's not just about transacting on the site. They're reading their emails on mobile phones. They're getting their promotions on email. So they're going to the sites from the mobile phones, I think, or any kind of mobile device, I think, around 50.
The best example that I really like with traditional retailers, and most of our clients are traditional retailers, most of them have got between 5 and 200 stores. And it's the use of the tablet in the store. So out of Magento, we build an iPad theme for them that can show either videos or lifestyle pictures of the products. And the sales representatives can use this in the store and say, James, this is the bed that you're looking at. You're interested in that particular feature. Here, if you've got a moment, watch this video. And that's actually coming out of the website. So you can actually omni-channel back out of the e-commerce platform, back into the store to help the sales assistant in the store close the sale. It's, again, with mobile and tablet, it's out of the box with Magento. Set up user agent ID and theme, etc. So we do a lot of themes for mobile. So you don't need to build an app, you just build the themes in the 4 different options. These days we start with iPhone, that's a no-brainer normally. And then we move to iPad second. And in Australia, now we're moving towards Android mobile and Android tablet, which I believe have got a higher take-up in the States. But you've also got to vary what those things look like. The customer that's using a mobile device is behaving differently. You can't just have your same old website there. You actually want to customise it to their behavioural characteristics and the way they're actually using mobile. For example, if you're using the iPad in the store, that's a custom theme. If you're on your mobile and you're trying to look up where the store is, you want a store locator system that you can actually see a map. You want to see big images on your mobile. You don't necessarily want to see a lot of text. Exactly. All right. A couple of mobile templates in play. If you've got any of you got iPhones in the room, just go to godfreys.com.au. The spelling's up there on the screen, and you actually see a mobile template theme. And it's pretty simple, just out of the box configuration. So when we do every build we do now, we're building iPhone themed as standard. I'm sure you're doing the same thing. Clicks and mortar. So most of our clients, as I said, are traditional retailers, and we talk a lot about research online, purchase offline. So a massive part of the business case is driving the customer from the web back into the store, particularly with high average order value products. So the higher the average order value, so when you're up around the $500, $1,000, $2,000 mark, people want to touch and feel that. You know, that they might buy them online, but there's every chance they also want to go on store and have a look at it. But then they might go back online and purchase afterwards. So you do things specifically for traditional retailers. So, and we do that. So, and it's not just about trying to get the transaction to occur online. So you can build a product finder. So in Godfrey's case, we built a vacuum cleaner product finder. So you can actually go through, I'm trying to clean up dog hair, or I want this kind of power, and you can actually use it as a finder specific to that, which then drives it back to the store to see a demo. You've got online and in-store inventory available, so you can actually show in-store inventory levels if they're going to go to a store. You can set up, pick up in-store, online delivery, or dropship, so you get a multiple amount of ways. And we talked before a little bit about the fact that a person in the store is going to purchase more. If you can actually get an in-store pickup, you're driving them into the physical store to pick up the goods. That then makes more purchases and upgrades your AOV.
And probably better loyalty too, as long as they have a good experience in the store.
Yeah, and so it really does get that circle going where they're back and forth. So they're in the store, they're online, they're on the mobile. You've got to make basically play to whichever device, whichever channel they're in. The other part of clicks and mortar is lead generation. With high average order value, high average order products like beds or cars, people want to talk to people. It's old school, you know. They actually want to get on the phone and talk to someone. So we've actually developed a lead generation system within Magento that actually pushes leads both to the actual stores physically based on postcode, but also into a database system like Salesforce, so you can get the whole CRM action happening as well. So that's not e-commerce, that's lead generation, and you need to build that in. And also, obviously, I say B2B, B2G, B2S, and me. By B2B, business to business, a lot of our clients now are wholesalers, manufacturers, as well as retailers. So they're looking to sell to other markets and set it up as a B2B platform with a login. B2G, B2 group, or B2 government, whichever one, and obviously SMEs as well, and actually splitting that customer out and giving them a unique omni-channel experience. All right, so I'll just finish off with this slide, give you a bit more of a blokey example. We've talked a lot about Brady's fashion, but this is a blokey example. This is welding equipment. And so traditionally BOC, British Oxygen Company, French business, have got an agencies all around the world that sell gas and gear. And recently, part of their omni-channel play was to use eBay for clearance, and it's been a very, very successful implementation. In this case, as I mentioned before, we integrated SAP into Magento, into eBay. So they're actually playing within channels within their own business as well.
That was great, because we needed a blokey example in order to counter the C Wonder example. So this last example here, what we call the extra mile, this is JCPenney, not yet on Magento, but in this case they've done a deal with what is basically a mailboxes, etc. equivalent, so that you can pick up your order, you can return your order seamlessly without extra charges, and so now we're really taking it locally and to that last extra mile. So as I summarize, I invite you to come up to the podium, to the speakers here, the microphones here. If you have a question, just queue up. And also the slides, if you want to, they'll be online later, and you can leave your business card here, and I'll email you the slides. I saw a number of you taking pictures. So just very quickly, Omni-Channel is about the eye of the customer. Be ready to engage her, because remember, 80% of the time, she's finding you. No matter how much push marketing you do, she's finding you 80% of the time. Many different touch points that convey a consistent and a brand experience. Cross-channel sales can be very significant. Omni and cross-channel may need a dedicated leader or ownership. And then there are key operational and technological things to do. And even though it's one bullet point here, it's probably one of the most complex to-dos that you guys face. So, congrats to any of you that are already doing it. Questions? I think we have time for one or two. No? All right, thank you. Please join me in thanking our panelists, too.